TMZ is reporting wrestling legend Hulk Hogan has died.
Train, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, be true to yourself, true to your country, be a real American.
Now to the death of wrestling icon Hulk Hogan, who rocketed to fame in the 1980s, in the ring transforming the wrestling industry, then appearing in the movies, in recent years taking a political stand. But there were scandals, too, outside the ring, including what he said about race. Tonight, his complicated legacy as fans now pay tribute. Here's Whit Johnson.
Hulk Hogan is in the building!
He was an American sports and entertainment icon, to transform professional wrestling into a multi-billion-dollar global phenomenon.
Hogan, the Hulkster, Hulkamania, the legend of Hulk Hogan dies in 2025. The legend, the one and only, the first ever WWE megastar. Yes, the world wrestling sport is in agony right now as the death of the most charismatic. For all the ladies out there, for all the Hulkamanias out there, for all the fans, it's sad, sad scenes that the Hulk is no longer with us. And let's check out why everyone loved them. Let's check out, look at his abs, look at those guns. He was the pure man at the time. That was what masculinity was all about, the American chopper. He had it all. He was the one. Yeah, brother. He had the catchphrase. He got the kids to eat their vitamins. He got it all done. Yes, indeed. Well, let's go check out part of his life story right here, right now.
Hulk Hogan was born Terry Bollea, discovered at a gym in Tampa. At 6'7", 320 pounds, he'd take the name Hulk from the Incredible Hulk, joining the famed World Wrestling Federation in 1983, and facing the greats from Andre the Giant to The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. Hogan responding to the question he was so often asked, is wrestling fake?
Fake implies that the punches don't hurt and you never get injured, and the people that have given up their bodies and actually their personal lives and everything, it's fake, and it's not. It's real as it gets.
Later starring in movies like Rocky III alongside Sylvester Stallone. In recent years, adding his celebrity to politics, endorsing then-candidate Donald Trump at the 2024 Republican National Convention.
Let Trumpomania rule again! Let Trumpomania make America great again!
But his life outside the ring at times seemed more challenging than inside. He admitted to steroid use. He was heard using a racial slur in audio secretly recorded, later asking the public for forgiveness.
If everybody at their lowest point was judged on one thing they said, it'd be a sad world. People get better every day. People get better.
Hulk Hogan died this morning after suffering cardiac arrest in his Clearwater, Florida home at the age of 71.
The image that you want to relate to other people can be either a positive or a negative one. For me, I would like to go from the positive aspect of trying to tell people to clean up their act and do the right type of things.
And David, tonight the tributes have been pouring in. Sylvester Stallone writing online, "My heart breaks." And President Donald Trump calling Hulk Hogan strong, tough, smart, but with the biggest...
Yeah, Hulk's life was like two different lives, from the in arena, from the WWE, the superstar, to a failed man on the outside. The trials, everything that happened in between. But one thing you got to know, he was there with some of the great matches, not necessarily the greatest matches over the length, but in terms of big moments in wrestling history. You had obviously the stare down with The Rock when he came back to the WWF, which turned into the WWE after being a WCW. Obviously lifting up Andre the Giant. Unbelievable scenes, never to be seen again. And obviously the beginning of NWO. Let's check out those videos. And he was. But obviously, let's just check out just this promo. This just shows you how much of the king of the castle he was in terms of promoting the undisputed king of wrestling. And if we had to put a Mount Rushmore right here, right now, if you were telling me who should be on this Mount Rushmore, well, he is the number one pick. He is the Hollywood elite. He is the number one. Hulk Hogan would be number one on the list on Mount Rushmore. After that is completely debatable, absolutely debatable all over the show here. I'm going back to the prime of wrestling for me. So Hulk started it all. Then The Rock came in and he made it what he did. Then you got Stone Cold Steve Austin and Longevity The Undertaker. That is the four for me. That's my Mount Rushmore. But you could argue John Cena deserves to be in there. And there's no doubt he is there. But that was sort of at the end of my watching the WWE. So that makes it hard for me to judge. I didn't really see all these matches of John Cena and the likes to see how good he was. But I do understand his relevance in the game. You obviously had Andre the Giant, you had Ric Flair, you had Shawn Michaels. These guys all deserve to be in the conversation. Bret Hart. There's some very talented wrestlers out there that deserve to be put up there on the pedestal. And obviously some of the newer ones coming up. But there's no doubt. You can debate everything else, but there is no doubt on everyone's Mount Rushmore, if you have been serious about what they did for the business, Hulk Hogan is on their Mount Rushmore. Absolutely. And that's the bottom line, because Barry Charles said so. Yeah, brother. If you smell what Barry Charles is cooking. Yes, Hulk is number one, and he'll always be the number one wrestler of all time. Now, let's have a look at Hulk Hogan. At times was not appreciative of fans, but let's have a look at one of his later videos in his later life talking about the fans and the appreciation he had.
So that's kind of like, it's not hard to be Hulk Hogan because I appreciate it so much. I could be a wrestler that I walk down the street and nobody recognizes me,
Yeah.
But it's a situation, like Stallone says, man, I walk next to you, Hogan, I'm invisible, And so it's really cool now to have the mindset and have the wisdom to go, oh my gosh, these people have stuck with me through thick and thin, through the good times, the bad times. They come up to me and they tell me how much they love me. I didn't have a dad growing up, or I was hooked on drugs. I was in an abusive family. And I'm going, oh my God. While I was saying the training, prayers, and vitamins and wrestling and doing my thing, it was helping them survive their personal situations. And so I've got so much respect for the character and so much respect for the people that are still with me. I had no idea how intense it really was until my latter years. And it took that long for me to collect all this information to go, oh my gosh, what a great find this was to be Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
So it's not hard for me to be Hulk Hogan anymore because I just can't move past people without stopping.
Great to see that he get a bit more appreciation to the fans in later life. It was good to see. But obviously, it wasn't all smooth sailing for him because he was known at times to be mean to fans and all that. He had trials and tribulations throughout his life, his personal life. Obviously, I'll put it in simple, making love to his wife's best friend, who had an open relationship, was allowing that to work, and a sex tape was recorded, and the N-word was in the sex tape about his daughter's, Brooke's, partner at the time, being a black man. So he went through a bit of trials and tribulations there. We're going to look at what he had to say about that time in his life. And then we're going to look at his best friend Buddy and how he saw it. And there was extortion attempt on Hulk Hogan for $1 million. That was all caught by the FBI. Scandalous all the way, yes. Absolutely scandalous. And just to give you a bit of a side note, Buddy was his best... Hulk Hogan was at Buddy's... his best man at his wedding. And unbelievable how this all came about. But let's check out the video now, and then we'll talk about it after.
Dying to see.
Well, this is the legal pad that I had in court with me during the Gawker trial. And what I did all day long was write. I just wrote all day long.
Were you following the trial in this?
No, I wasn't following the trial. These are just like affirmations, I'm only victory, perfect health.
In the middle of the trial?
God fights and wins all battles, still and stay centered. If you read all the stuff, I was praying the whole time I was in.
This is all God, 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 God.
Yeah, When I would go in there, I would walk in with light, with this high vibration. I'd write, I'd pray for these very talented lawyers of Gawker to see the error of their ways and become great lawyers and help people.
Why did you sue in the first place?
I sued basically because I never wanted anything like this to happen to anybody else. When they first put the tape up, we were very kind and asked them to take it down. When they said no, I said, okay, that's it.
The allegations in that lawsuit state that approximately 6 years ago, the Clems secretly videotaped Mr. Hogan having private, consensual, intimate relations in a private bedroom.
In the beginning of the trial, my attorney, David Houston, got an email from a lady whose husband had just committed suicide. A person he was having an affair with sent him a tape and he took his own life. And I said, I know that feeling, I understand that train of thought, and I never wanted anybody to go through anything that I went through. And at the end of the day, the First Amendment needed to be protected, our privacy rights.
It put a very bad part of your life on public display. And that must have been an issue for you before you decided to sue.
It was, but this was much bigger than me or much bigger than my career. This was something that, I've said it before and I'm not joking around. As a wrestler, that was a great part of my life, but now that I understand why I'm here, wrestling was just set up. It was just a setup, a stepping stone for who I am and what I'm meant to do and be. No matter what happened in my career, this was so much bigger.
What went through your mind when you first heard there was a sex tape out? I mean, you used the N-word in this sex tape and referring to Brooke's boyfriend at the time. What goes through your head to say, I will still fight, even if that comes out? Because that was the nuclear bomb, right?
Yeah, it was. When I knew that was coming out, all the lawyers said, if you want to stop, you can stop. You don't have to go forward. There's a huge amount of money being offered. This will never see the light of day. I went, I can't do that.
Why?
Because I'm not that guy. I have to be able to look at myself in the mirror every day. I have to be accountable. I have to be able to live with myself. And what's so cool about it is it did really wake me up. It really slapped me and woke me up. And it made me realize how powerful words are. For the people that know me and love me, they know who I am. They know I'm not a racist, but I understand that people that didn't know me judge me just from those words. That's all they had.
If this tape wasn't leaked, and suppose there was no Gawker trial, do you think you'd be using that word today when you got angry?
No.
Why?
No. I've tried to clean up my whole life. I've made a whole switch, almost a shift from, being negative or fighting, scratching and clawing as I work hard and I move forward, that I'm in check with myself. So all this stuff comes back around. You have to be what you say you are.
I'm the guy who got butt fucked by sex tapes. So as Spice Boy was shopping this tape, I didn't even know that it was gone. Like for instance, see that toolbox over there?
Yeah.
Okay, you might have 3 half-inch wrenches in there. Do you really know that there's 3 in there? Last time you checked, there was 3. But do you go back every day and check that there's 3 half-inch wrenches?
Right.
No. I knew this sex tape was in my office in the desk. I didn't go every day and relook. Oh, it's still there. I just knew. I never had an employee theft problem. I didn't. I had nothing. I had a pretty small staff, and nobody went in my office, and I'd never have a theft problem. People had keys to the building. They could come and work on the weekends and things like that. Well, one of my employees stole it. I didn't know it was stolen until one of my producers, Brent Hatley, calls me March 4th, 2011, and flat out asks me, did Hogan fuck your wife? And I'm like, I'm driving into work. It's 4:40 in the morning. I'm on the Howard Franklin. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, on the dirty.com, there's a screenshot of your bedroom with Hogan, on top of Heather. And I'm like, oh my God. Brent, run into my office right now and look at my top desk, top drawer, under some papers. There should be a DVD that says Hogan on it. And he walked in there and he said, "It's not there." And I knew my life was ruined. So Spice Boy was taking this tape, and when he was going to when he was going to all these places that could potentially buy a sex tape, the first thing they asked was, "Well, do you have 2257 forms on the people involved?" And a 2257 form is just a standardized form that says, "I am this person giving you permission to use my likeness and distribute it, and we own the right." You know, Spice Boy starts shopping this tape. He can't find anybody in Hollywood or anybody in the porn industry that'll touch it. They're like, "Listen, we cannot put this up if you don't have, you know, at least Heather and Hogan on 2257. It's illegal." Well, at that point, the tape was worth nothing. So this is what people in the mall and don't know, is that he then got a hold of his wife's best friend, who named Lori Burbage, who worked at the Bank of America. She was just making like, you know, 20, like a single mom, and gave her $1,000 to be the liaison. And he called up a guy named Keith Davidson, who was the #1 sex tape broker in Hollywood. And he flew to Tampa and brokered this. And he had David Houston, who's Hogan's lawyer, who's now dead. Him and Hogan, Keith Davidson got a hold of him and Hogan and said, "We have this sex tape. I have the sex tape." Well, first of all, the dirty.com put the screenshot of it up in March and kind of alerted the world that it was out there. So everybody's scrambling around. Where the fuck is it? Nobody knows. They can't produce it. The dirty.com has to pull it down immediately. But Spice Boy fucked up by I think he got like $4,500 to send them that picture. So as he's shopping it, he can't sell it. He then arranges a meeting for Keith Davidson to represent him, and Hogan, David Houston, and Lori Burbage, who represents the owner of the tape. Because if Spice Boy would have walked in there, Hogan would have said, "Fuck, because he knew Spice Boy worked for me."
Right.
You know, Spice Boy wanted to completely stay out of it.
Right.
So Lori Burbage goes in representing the owner of the tape. Keith Davidson's in there to broker it. But what they don't know is that Hogan and David Houston called the FBI and said, "We're being extorted. They want $1 million for this sex tape for Hogan to buy back so that it doesn't get out." That's what bad guys do. Is if I got something here and you don't want this, you don't want your wife to see this, well, then buy it off of me, bitch.
Right.
Otherwise, she's going to get it.
Now, that was true? Somebody did try to extort him for $1 million?
True. It was an FBI sting that's been fully documented.
Really? They have it like recorded, him actually saying that?
Yes.
A lot to unpack there, a lot to dive into. I try to simplify it for you right here, right now. So basically, simple terms, Hulk make love to Buddy's wife. It was an open relationship. It was all consensual. I can't 100% say that Buddy recorded it, but I'm sure someone within his vicinity recorded it, and knowing it was going to be a private video, he left it in his drawer, and it says Hogan on it. Why would you put Hogan on it? You know, like just blatantly there for someone to check out. And if they'll have to look in the weekends, some of the staff obviously check the video and goes, "Oh, I can make some money out of this." Woof! And basically that's what happened. Stole the tape, tried to sell it to everywhere in the world. Nothing happened. Couldn't get anyone because he didn't have approval from the people participating in the video clips, and no one would take it. So then he tried to extort $1 million for Hulk, but FBI was involved. So, yeah, crazy stuff. Yep. So, yes, the Hulkster, even though he had this trials and tribulations in his life, when it's all said and done, all of that be forgotten, and he'll be remembered for the greatest wrestler, entertainer in the world. He's a pop culture icon. Absolutely disappointing to see the end of Hulk mania, but he was a great legend. And to finish off, let's just do a little bit of a tribute to him, and we'll have what Cody Rhodes had to say about him, and finish off the video with the 10-bow salute for the greatest wrestler, Hulk Hogan.
Train, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, be true to yourself, true to your country, be a real American.
Look at this. He's